Ladies and gentlemen, the sun may set, the season may shift, but let's get one thing clear. Summer is not a date on a calendar. It's not about June, July, or August. Summer is a state of mind. It's the heat in your chest when you take a risk. It's the rhythm in your steps when you're dancing through chaos. It's that feeling when the world says no, but your heart still whispers go. We don't chase trends. We chase vibes, we chase freedom, we chase us. Body mid-tempo, rising beat, motivational core, you see. Summer dreams, they don't sleep. They don't clock out. They don't fade when the leaves fall. They rise when the sun does. They hustle in the heat. They live loud even when the world's gone quiet. You ever ride a bike downhill, no brakes, just wind and will. That's what chasing vibes feels like. It's not safe, it's not perfect, but it's real, and real always wins. And if you're waiting for permission to start, stop. Permission is a myth. Summer is a state of mind, not a season. It's not bound by the tilt of the earth or the pages of a calendar. It doesn't begin with the solstice or end with a backtoss. Cool sail. Summer in its truest form lives within us. It's a feeling, a rhythm, a mood, a quiet rebellion against routine, and a celebration of presence. The warmth of summer is not only found in the sun, but in the glow of a moment fully lived. It's in the way laughter lingers in the air, how time slows down when you're lost in something or someone you love, how the music hits deeper when the world feels open. When people think of summer, they picture beaches, ice cream cones, and neon sunsets. But those are just visuals, the surface. Underneath it all, what summer represents is something deeper: freedom, youth, spontaneity, and soul. It's the liberation from rigidity. It's about being unfiltered, unbothered, and unapologetically alive. That's why some people can stand under a blazing sun and still feel cold inside, while others find summer energy in the dead of winter. Because it's never about temperature, it's always about intention. The state of mind that is summer is fueled by possibility. It whispers why not instead of what if. It encourages action over hesitation, presence over planning. There's a boldness to it, a willingness to leap without knowing exactly where you'll land, and that boldness. It isn't reserved for vacations or school breaks. It's available to anyone, anytime, who chooses to live with open arms and an open heart. Summer lives in the people who say yes to the unknown, who take the long way home, who stop just to admire the view. It lives in creatives who make something out of nothing, in lovers who kiss like it's the last night on earth, in dreamers who chase their vision with no backup plan. We've been trained to associate summer with an external world, weather apps, pool parties, tropical destinations. But those things are only symbols, not the source. The real summer lives in the soul that refuses to grow stale, the heart that refuses to harden, the spirit that refuses to shrink. It's not about being naive. It's about believing in beauty, in serendipity, in the idea that even an ordinary day can become unforgettable when approached with the right energy. Think about your most vivid memories, the ones burned into your chest like sunlight. They weren't always tied to dates or seasons. They were tied to the vibe, the energy, that moment where everything aligned, not because the conditions were perfect, but because you were fully in it. You were there, awake, engaged. That's what summer as a state of mind gives us, the permission to feel deeply, move freely, and exist wildly. It's not about escape, it's about elevation, living just above the weight of expectations, rules, and roles. It's the decision to make a regular Wednesday feel like a Saturday night. When you carry summer within you, you carry light. You become the source. You no longer wait for the world to bring you joy, you create it. You no longer wait for the right moment. You decide it's already here. This mindset is disruptive in the best way. It shifts the energy in a room, a conversation, a life. You stop asking for direction and start trusting your own compass. You stop measuring time in deadlines and start measuring it in moments that move you. There are people who live in permanent winters emotionally, mentally, because they've bought into the idea that joy has to be earned, that peace has to be postponed, that magic is reserved for rare occasions. But the ones who know the truth, the ones who feel the sun even when it rains, they're different. They move through the world with a kind of radiant ease, not because their life is easier, but because their mindset is warmer. They've found a way to hold on to that summer glow, even when the world tries to dim it. Carrying summer inside you changes the way you work, love, create, and connect. It gives you the courage to take up space and the softness to let others in. You start choosing curiosity over control, play over pressure, and gratitude over grind. You dance more, you judge less, you breathe deeper. You don't need a vacation to tap into this energy. You just need to remember it's already yours, that it never left you, that you can turn the volume up on life anytime you choose. This energy is not about being reckless. It's about being real. It's the decision to show up fully, to take risks with your heart, to invest in things that don't always have a guaranteed return. Because summer doesn't promise safety, it promises soul. It asks you to stop sleepwalking through your days and start experiencing them like they matter. Like you matter. Like your presence, your joy, your voice, your vision, all of it are worthy of space and sunshine. That's why the people who embody this mindset feel different. They don't follow weather reports. They are the weather. They bring their own heat, their own light, their own rhythm. They walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere. Not because they're loud, but because they're a live asterisk. And in a world that often asks us to tone it down, to play it safe, to blend in, living like it's summer every day becomes a quiet act of resistance, an elegant rebellion. Summer is a state of mind because it refuses to be boxed in. It evolves with you. It grows, matures, deepens. It starts as a mood, becomes a mindset, and eventually becomes muscle memory. You wake up in it, you move with it, you make decisions from that place, not fear, not scarcity, not doubt, but warmth, boldness, joy. It becomes less about chasing highs and more about creating harmony, less about escape and more about engagement. This mindset doesn't erase the hard days, it reframes them. It reminds you that even in heaviness, there's room for levity, that, even in heartbreak, there's a kind of beauty in feeling at all, that even when the world goes gray, you can still paint your own color back in. Chasing vibes means chasing authenticity, not approval. It's a choice, a declaration that you will no longer move according to other people's expectations, but according to your own truth. The vibe isn't about fitting in, it's about feeling aligned. It's not about impressing the crowd. It's about recognizing yourself in the mirror and liking what you see. Vibes are internal before they're external. They're born in the soul before they ever reach a screen, a stage, or a feed. And the people who get it, they aren't the loudest. They're the ones who live with intention, the ones who make energy a lifestyle, not a costume. The world is flooded with noise, filters, comparisons, and constant feedback loops. It's easy to get caught up chasing likes, chasing trends, chasing validation. But none of that lasts. It fades, it shifts, it turns on you when you stop performing. But chasing vibes, real vibes, means you build from something deeper. You're not looking for applause, you're listening for alignment. You don't shift for the room, you bring the same energy whether it's crowded or empty. Because you're not living for the reaction, you're living from your essence. Approval is a moving target. One moment you're in, the next you're not. You can twist yourself into shapes trying to be accepted, but the truth is, people will always project their preferences, insecurities, and expectations onto you. If you let them, you'll lose yourself trying to become someone they like, instead of becoming someone you respect. Chasing vibes means you've outgrown that. It means you've realized the most magnetic thing you can be is real. That energy doesn't lie. That people might forget your words or your wins, but they'll never forget how your presence made them feel. Authenticity doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you always get it right. It means you're anchored. You're grounded in who you are, even when it's inconvenient. It means you don't hide your flaws to be palatable, and you don't overcompensate to be impressive. You allow the fullness of yourself to be seen, the light and the shadow, and in doing that, you give other people permission to do the same. That's what real vibes do. They free people. They expand the room. They bring people back to themselves. When you chase vibes instead of approval, you stop performing and start connecting. You start having conversations that matter. You start building relationships that aren't built on conditions. You attract people who see you, not a projection of who you pretend to be. And that changes everything, because you no longer feel the need to shrink or shout. You just show up, present, honest, open, and that presence becomes your power. Approval comes with a price. It asks you to edit, filter, rehearse. It asks you to prioritize what people think over what you feel. But vibes are free. They don't need permission or strategy. They come from tuning in instead of looking out. They grow in stillness, in self, trust, in moments when you choose honesty over image. The more you practice this, the louder your own signal becomes. You stop being reactive and start being resonant. You stop seeking validation and start creating value from the inside out. This doesn't mean you never care about people or feedback. It means you care more about truth than applause. You're willing to be misunderstood if it means being real. You're willing to walk alone for a while if it means walking in the right direction. You're willing to take off the mask even if your voice shakes, because you know that the cost of approval is often the death of authenticity, and you're no longer willing to pay that price. Chasing vibes is not passive, it's active, it's discerning. It means asking yourself in every room, do I feel aligned here or just accepted? Am I expanding here or just surviving? Am I present or am I performing? These questions matter because they reveal whether you're building a life you love or just one that looks good on paper. They remind you that real peace doesn't come from applause. It comes from self-honesty. That real success isn't being liked by everyone. It's being true to yourself, even when it's hard. The people who chase vibes live differently. They trust energy more than trends. They know when a situation feels off, even if it looks good. They can feel when someone's words don't match their frequency. They don't force it. They don't beg for access. They don't chase places that don't match their pace. Instead, they create their own lane, their own rhythm, their own flow, and because of that, their journey may take longer, but it's rooted, it lasts, it builds legacy instead of likes. Approval seekers often burn out. They run on performance, which is exhausting. They chase highs that don't sustain. But vibe chasers build momentum from within. They can rest without guilt. They can show up without scripts. They can pivot without panic. Because they're not building a brand, they're becoming themselves. More deeply, more freely, more boldly. That's the work, that's the win, that's the wave. When you chase vibes, you begin to attract differently. You draw in people, projects, and possibilities that are aligned with your core, not your mask. You stop needing to prove your worth and start embodying it. You stop over-explaining and start moving with quiet confidence. You become magnetic not because you're loud, but because you're real. Not because you're perfect, but because you're grounded. That kind of energy can't be taught. It can only be remembered and lived. There's a moment that comes when you realize you've spent too much time trying to be liked, trying to fit in, trying to be the version of yourself you thought would get approval. And in that moment, there's a shift, a crack in the performance, a question that rises. What if I just stopped pretending? What if I stopped chasing applause and started chasing peace? That's the beginning of something real. That's when you realize the vibe you were chasing was never out there. It was always inside, waiting for you to stop editing, stop performing, and just be. That shift is subtle but radical. You start living by feel, not fear. You start prioritizing what feels right over what looks right. You choose presence over performance, depth over decoration, substance over spectacle. You move differently, and not everyone will understand it, but the right ones will. The ones who are also done performing. The ones who feel the room before they enter it. The ones who see through the noise and are hungry for something real. Chasing vibes means you've learned to trust yourself more than the trends. It means you no longer need to broadcast everything. You're okay being low, if it means staying high. Frequency. It means you don't need the spotlight to feel seen. You don't need the mic to speak power. You don't need permission to take up space. Because you're not chasing attention, you're chasing truth. You're chasing alignment. You're chasing the version of yourself that feels whole, with or without approval. So here we are. After all the words, all the rhythms, all the reminders, it comes down to this. Summer dreams never end because they were never meant to. They were never built to be seasonal. They weren't made to be temporary highs or weak and only feelings. They're not limited to sunsets, playlists, or vacations. Summer dreams are stitched into the fabric of those who refuse to live on autopilot. They are carried by people who don't wait for the world to turn golden. They bring the gold with them. They are kept alive by the ones who live wide, awake, eyes open, heart beating, chasing the vibe even when the sky turns gray. Because chasing the vibe is chasing what's real. It's chasing what calls you. It's choosing to live out loud even when the volume around you is low. In a world constantly telling us to conform, to blend, to tone ourselves down for comfort or acceptance. Choosing to live with that summer energy is a radical act. It's a declaration, a line in the sand. It says, I'm not here to fit in, I'm here to feel. And feeling is dangerous to a system that thrives on numbness. But we weren't born to be numb. We were born to burn, to shine, to spark. Summer dreams are lit by that spark. And chasing vibes, that's how you protect it. That's how you keep the fire alive when the winds of doubt blow hard. That's how you remember that the best things in life don't always come with instructions or guarantees. They come with instinct, intuition, and the courage to go where the feeling leads you. Living this way, fully, freely, vulnerably, it's not easy. Not in a culture built on metrics and masks. It takes guts to follow a dream that no one else can see. It takes vision to trust a feeling when logic tells you to stay safe. It takes audacity to make your life your art. But that's the path. That's the blueprint. That's the real summer dream. Not a moment, but a mindset. Not a destination, but a decision. To keep going when it's inconvenient. To show up when it's awkward. To speak even when your voice trembles. To stay true to your own rhythm when everyone else is marching to something else entirely. The truth is, most people won't understand it, not at first. They won't get why you walk away from safe things, why you take risks on ideas that don't promise returns, why you'd rather feel deeply than be widely liked. But the ones who do understand, they'll find you, and when they do, it'll feel like coming home, because energy doesn't lie. And when you've chosen to live by vibe over validation, the right ones always feel it. They're drawn not to your perfection, but to your presence. They see the glow that doesn't come from spotlight, but from soul. This kind of living doesn't chase applause, but it inspires it. It doesn't ask for permission, but it earns respect. And it doesn't play by the rules, but it writes its own. Because when you realize summer is a state of mind, and chasing vibes is a form of truth, telling, you stop living for the calendar. You stop waiting for the right time. You stop postponing your passion. You begin to understand that the dream is not later, the dream is now. And now is always available to those bold enough to claim it. When you live in this headspace, even your quiet moments feel electric. Even your solitude feels rich. Even your struggle feels like something sacred, because you know it's shaping you, not breaking you. You stop fearing failure because you understand that failure doesn't kill dreams, silence does, playing small does. Hiding your heart does, so instead you make a vow not to be perfect, but to be present, not to be impressive, but to be intentional. Not to be liked by all, but to be loved by those who see the real you. You start giving your energy to things that refill you, not just things that reward you. You find value in peace over praise, alignment over attention, soul over strategy. You spend more time doing what feels alive in your body, and less time explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. And as that becomes your lifestyle, not your phase, not your vacation mood, but your everyday lens, something wild happens. You glow. Not because everything's easy, but because everything is yours. Yours by choice, yours by truth, yours by vibe. You walk into every day knowing that you're not waiting for life to get exciting. You asterisk the excitement. You're not waiting for summer. You asterisk the summer. You've become the spark that sets other people free. Not by preaching, not by proving, but simply by being. That's the magic of the vibe. That's the dream. That's what never ends. So when the world gets loud and the pressure builds and the doubts creep in telling you to shrink, to stop, to play safe, remember this. You weren't built to be background noise. You weren't made to be muted. You're not here to just get through life. You're here to feel it, to color it, to lead it with your heart on fire. Let the others follow trends. You follow the energy. You follow the fire. You follow the freedom. And if someone asks you what you're chasing, you tell them this. You're chasing the moments that make you feel like the world stopped spinning for a second. You're chasing the sound of your own laughter when nothing else matters. You're chasing the peace that hits when you're aligned with who you are, not who you're expected to be. You're chasing vibes because that's where the dream lives, and summer dreams, they never end.